Today, inshallah, we'll try to revise the most important points in the 9 units of the O level, and we'll start here with Unit 1, as you see. In Unit 1, we studied together the first point, giving advice. Giving advice, as you see. And we said before that we can use should or shouldn't to say that something is or is not a good idea. So if you want to give advice, you can use should or shouldn't, as you see. Like, you should go now. The bus goes in 10 minutes. Tourists should wear sun cream when it's very hot. But here, shouldn't, we can use it in the negative. You shouldn't watch too much television. You shouldn't stay up late. You have a test tomorrow. It's okay. And after should or shouldn't, you have to put the verb in the infinitive. As you see, watch, stay, go, wear, and so on. And we can use should in order to make suggestions, like we should visit ancient sites. Okay, we should visit ancient sites. Here we are giving or we are making suggestions. There is another expression that you can use in order to give advice, which is I advise you to, or I advise you not to. Like this example, I advise you to do sports, or I advise you not to smoke. Okay, so I advise you to plus infinitive, or I advise you not to plus infinitive. You can use both of them to give advice. This is the first point in Unit 1. What about Unit 2? We are just revising here the structures because it's very important to revise the structures. As you'll find in the exam, some questions, of course, choose the correct answer, maybe rewrite, and so on. In Unit 2, we studied together how to form the comparatives and superlatives with few and little. Okay, and we said before that wait a minute, please. And we said before that we can use few or fewer, it's okay, in the comparative, and the fewest in the superlative with countable nouns. Countable nouns. But we can use little and in the comparative less and the superlative the least with uncountable nouns. Uncountable nouns. Of course, you know the difference between countable and uncountable. Countable nouns mean the nouns that we can make the plural from these nouns, like boy, boys. But uncountable nouns are singular all the time. They don't have plural. Okay, like the word money. It's an uncountable noun. An uncountable noun. Why? Because we don't have plural from this word. We cannot say monies. So fewer than, you can use it with the countable nouns, and less than, you can use it with the uncountable nouns. Like this example, I have got fewer books. If you look at the word books, you'll find it's plural here. It's a countable noun. A countable noun, why? Because it's plural, as you see, books. So you can use with it fewer. But here, meat, it's uncountable noun, and uncountable noun, so we will use with it less. You have got less meat than I have. What about the superlative? The superlative forms are the fewest and the least. The fewest and the least. The fewest, we'll use it with countable nouns like students, and the least with uncountable nouns like class 4 has the fewest students. Students here countable, so we will use the fewest. And the word water, that bottle has the least water. So the word water here is uncountable noun, so we'll use with it the least. After that, in lesson unit 3, in unit 3 we studied together how to form the present simple passive. As you know that the present simple we can form it by using, if you find he or she or it or singular, you will add to the verb s or es or I, es. It's okay. But if you have I or they or we, you, you will put the verb in the infinitive. Like he plays, but when you say I, you will say I play. If you want to make the passive from the present simple, you will change here the places. You will start with the object, and then you will put am or is or are plus past participle. Like this example, mother cleans my room every day. So mother cleans my room. Mother here is the subject, and cleans here is the verb. My room is the object. Okay. If you want here to change the places, yani if you want to start with my room, you have to use this form. This is called passive. So the first sentence is called active, and the second sentence is called passive. Why? Because you will change the places. You will start here with the object. You will say my room. You will start by saying my room. And then you have to put am or is or are plus past participle. Am or is or are plus past participle. You will say my room is cleaned. It's a past participle from the verb cleans. And then you will put the preposition by and then the subject by mother. My room is cleaned by mother every day. So in this way, you can say that you have changed from the active into passive. If you want to make the passive in the negative, you will add not after am or is or are. Am not, is not, are not, or isn't or aren't. Like our class isn't cleaned every day. Why? This is passive. Why? Because the class can't clean itself. It's okay. Someone will clean it or cleans it. What about the question? The question you can use here am or is or are, and then the object and then past participle. Yes or no question. Like this example, are these ones made of good wood? You can start your answer by using yes or no. Yes, they are, or no, they aren't. Can we use here the passive in the question that starts with question word? Yes. Why is fish sometimes kept in special freezers? Why is fish kept? This is passive because the fish uh, doesn't keep itself at all. After that, we have here the past simple passive. In this unit, we studied the present simple passive and the past simple passive. And here we'll form the past simple passive by using the object and then was or were and the past participle. Like this example, the government built, this is past simple as you know, built many hospitals because the verb is build and the past simple is built, the letter T as you see. The government built many hospitals last year. This is called active. If you want to make the passive, to form the passive from this sentence, you will start here with the object. You will start by saying many hospitals. It's okay? And then you will add this form, was or were. Of course, we will use here were because hospitals is plural. Many hospitals were built, and this is built. Why? Because this is the past participle. Build, built, built. Many hospitals were built by the government. You will add by here and then the government, which is the subject. You will just replace uh, between the subject and the object, and then you will put last year. Many hospitals were built by the government last year. Can we make the negative or the passive in the negative form? Of course, by using wasn't or weren't. These cotton shirts weren't made in Japan. They were made in Egypt. Okay, so weren't made here is a negative. Can we use the past simple in the question, in the yes or no question, in the passive, yes or no question, passive? Yes, by starting by using was or were. Was this car made in Egypt? Yes, it was, or no, it wasn't. You can start your answer by using yes or no, as you like. We can use also the WH questions in the passive, in the past simple passive, by using the question word, like when. When was a plane first used? When was, you will put after that was or where, and then the object, a plane, and then the past participle. When was a plane first used? Where was this bag made? And so on. In Unit 4, we studied how to express certainty and uncertainty. Okay? How to express certainty. It means something when you are sure, and uncertainty, you are not sure. Certainty means that you are sure about something. But uncertainty, it means you are not sure. In order to express certainty, you can use must be in the positive and can't be in the negative. But must be, you can use it in the positive, in the affirmative. And can't be, we will use it in the negative. Like this example, he always gets high marks. So you are sure that he is clever. Instead of saying, I am sure he is clever, you can say, he must be clever. So must be here, it means that you are sure that he is clever. If you are talking in the negative, you can't be Ahmed. It means here that I'm sure that you aren't Ahmed. Why? Because he isn't tall like you. So you can't be Ahmed at all. But if you are not certain, يعني, it means you are not sure about something. You can use might. And after might, you have to put infinitive. Like this example, Mr. Said might might travel, might here. This is a verb, the modal verb that we can use in order to express uncertainty. It's okay. And after that, you will add the infinitive. Here, after can't, you can put be or infinitive as you like. Must uh, is the same. You can put be or verb in the infinitive, any verb. It's okay, and it doesn't matter to be the verb be all the time. This is Unit 4. What about Unit 5? In Unit 5, we studied together how to express ability or inability. Of course, ability means that you have the ability to do something and you can do it. It's okay if you are talking in the present. But if you are talking in the past, you will use here could. And inability is the opposite of the ability. Here to express the ability, we are talking here about the ability in the past. Okay, by using could or couldn't. You will use here could in the positive and couldn't in the negative. When you say I could swim when I was 6, This sentence means that you had the ability to do that. And if you don't have, or if you didn't have the ability to do that, you will use I couldn't. If you didn't have the ability to do something, you can use I couldn't. I couldn't do my math homework. There is another way to express ability or inability by using was or were able to. You can use them instead of could or couldn't. Could, you will use was or were able to, and couldn't, you will use wasn't or weren't able to. Okay, like this example. So could or couldn't, I'm sorry here, it it's equal to wasn't or weren't able to. Like this example, I was able to help my friend who couldn't solve his problem. So I was able to. Of course, you can use was or were like this because some students may get confused between was or were. Was, we can use it, my dear students, with I, he, she, it, and the singular. And we can use were with they, we, you, and the plural. Now, Unit 6. In this unit, we will study together, or we studied the transitive and intransitive verbs. We are just revising now. Transitive and intransitive verbs, it means here, the transitive verb, it means that after this verb, you have to put an object. You have to put an object. After the transitive verb, you have to put an object. Like this example, Ali sent me an email. You cannot say Ali sent without saying an object here, without telling me the object. You cannot say Samir bought. Bought what? Or bought for whom? Okay? So it's very important to to tell me the object after these verbs. These are called in English transitive verbs. So the transitive verb, after these verbs, you can put an object. But pay attention because we have some different types of these objects. The first one is called indirect object, and the second one is called direct object. How? Look carefully at this example. Ali sent me an email. Me here is called an indirect object. The person, I mean here the person, for example, yeah. And what about the direct object? The thing. So the first one here is me, and the second one is an email. This is the thing. Ali sent me an email. If you start here with the first object, with the person, you will not use a preposition. You will say Ali sent me an email directly. Samir bought me a present. Me here is the first object. This is called indirect object, and a present is the direct object with which is the thing. But if you want to change the places between the person and the thing, or the direct object and indirect object, and you start here with the thing and then the person, you have to put between them one of these prepositions, the two prepositions, to or for. Ali sent an email to me. Samir bought a present for me. Pay attention بقى, because there are some students who say Ali sent to me an email. I will say to you now that this sentence is wrong. You cannot say Ali sent to me an email. It's wrong. It's okay? It's incorrect. So if you say the person firstly, you cannot use here a preposition. You will say Ali sent to me an email. If you start here with the first object, which is the thing, you will put here 2 or 4. Samir bought a present for me. Of course, we have some verbs that take 2, and there are some other verbs which take 4. There is another type of the verbs which is called intransitive verbs. Intransitive verbs. And this is just a piece of information for you. These verbs don't need an object after them. Like the baby is sleeping. We don't need here an object. After sleeping, we don't have an object. We left early in the morning. Maybe that you will say early here is an object. No, early is not an object at all. It's an adverb. So we left early in the morning. We don't have in these two sentences, we don't have an object. Intransitive verbs, verbs that don't have an object. Okay, so transitive verbs are the most important type here. Transitive verbs are the most important type. In which point? In the point of replacing the direct object and with the indirect object and vice versa. Okay, so pay attention please, because maybe that we will use here 2 or 4 huh, in this condition, which is you will start with the direct object, which is the thing, before the person. But if you start with the person and then the thing, you don't need to put 2 or 4. You don't need any preposition. Unit 7, and we studied in Unit 7 some modals and semi-modals. And the first one is have to, of course, or has to, had to, and must and mustn't. If you look at this table, you'll find that in the affirmative, you can use have to plus infinitive, or has to plus infinitive. Pay attention, because have to, you can use it with I, they, we, you, and the plural. But has to, you can use it with he, or she, or it, or the singular. And we can use both of them, have to or has to, in the present. In the present. You can use them in the present. But had to, you can use it in the past. It means that something was necessary, was important to do it in the past. But have to or has to, you can use them to express necessity, or something which was important, necessary to do, or is necessary to do, I'm sorry, in the present. Have to or has to, you can use them like must. It's okay, like must, but had to in the past. If you want to make the negative, you will use don't have to. Has to, it will be doesn't have to. Had to, it will be didn't have to. And of course, the negative from must, it will be mustn't. But pay attention, because must, we can use it to express necessity and obligation. Necessity and obligation. Obligation, something which is important to do. But mustn't, you will use it in order to express prohibition. Prohibition, it means something which is against the law. You cannot do at all. If you want to make the interrogative, the question, you can use do or does or did with have to. If you find do or does or did, or don't or doesn't or didn't, you have to change the verb into the infinitive. Have to and then the infinitive. And must, you can use it in the question. Yes, you can use it in the question. What about Unit 8? In Unit 8, we studied how to form the ing forms. How to make the ing forms from the verb, of course, I mean here. You can add ing to the verb in order to change it from a verb into a noun. Like swim, swimming. Like write, writing, lie, lying, read, reading, learn, learning, and so on. Like when you say, I like to read short stories. I like to read short stories. Here, read is a verb. If you want to make it huh, in the noun, if you want to form it uh, by saying reading, this is called a gerund. Okay, a gerund. And here, the gerund, you can use it in order to make it as a noun. This is the subject of the sentence. Reading is my favorite hobby. Okay, Shabab. So reading is my favorite hobby. So this is called a gerund here. This is called a gerund. And you can use it as a noun, as a subject, or as an object. Doing exercises helps me relax. Here, doing is the subject. I love doing exercise. Doing here is an object. So we can use the verb ing as a noun, and you can put it as a subject or as an object. I'm good at writing. After the preposition, you have to add to the verb ing gerund. I'm good at writing poems. I'm bad at doing math, sums, and so on. I enjoy reading. After some verbs, you have to add verb plus ing. I enjoy reading. I like playing football. Like, enjoy, dislike, hate, and so on. Mind, all these verbs, after them, you have to put ing to the verb. And the last point here is Unit 9. And in this unit, we studied how to form the non-defining relative clauses. The non-defining relative clauses. The relative clauses, of course, we can form them by using relative pronouns. These are called relative pronouns. Relative pronouns like who, which, where, when, whose. We can use who, of course, with the persons, with people, and which with things or animals, where with the places, when with the time, whose with possession, to express possession, something that you own. Mr. Ali, this is the first example. Mr. Ali, who has a nice villa, is a scientist. Mr. Ali, after the name of Mr. Ali directly after this person, you will put who. This is called relative pronoun. Who? Why? Because Mr. Ali is a person. Mr. Ali, who has a nice villa, is a scientist. The mobile, which? Why? Because the mobile is a thing. So you have to put which here for things. Which I saw yesterday is expensive. We went to visit my cousins in Luxor. Huh? Look at Luxor carefully. You'll find that Luxor is a place. So you have to put after it where. Mr. Adel, whose car is Mercedes 2017, is very rich. Maybe that you will say now, Mr. Adel is a person. Why don't we put here who? Why? Because I'm talking here about his car. So this is called possession. So we will use whose here because Mr. Adel, I'm talking about the relationship between Mr. Adel and his car. Okay, this is the relationship, the position relationship. So Mr. Adel, whose car is Mercedes 2017, is very rich. Right. Pay attention بقى because we have here two commas. If you look at these two commas, these two commas. Why? Because these are called non-defining relative clauses. Non-defining relative clauses. Why? Because this clause, which is in the middle of the sentence, is not important at all. يعني it gives me extra information. It gives me extra information. It's not important at all to know Mr. Ali if he has a villa or not. It's not important for me. The most important thing is that Mr. Ali is a scientist. But when you say Mr. Ali who has a nice villa, you just give me extra information. Okay? So it's not important to know it, but it will be better to say it. So if you have an extra piece of information and you want to give it to me, you have to put them between two commas. As you see, Mr. Ali, who has a nice villa, here you will put it between two commas, and then you will say the rest of the sentence by saying is a scientist. But pay attention because in the relative, the non-defining relative clause that you will find them between two commas, you cannot use that because you know that that is equal to who or which. But here in the non-defining relative clause, you cannot use that at all. In this way, this is a quick revision about the most important points in the O level from Unit 1 until Unit 9. And tomorrow, inshallah, we will try to answer some questions. We will try to answer some questions about these units. There is another sheet. And by the way, I'll send you this sheet today. I'll send you this sheet today that we have studied together today. It's okay. Do you have any question? Yes. If you have any question, you can say it. Yes.
مستر هو أنا كنت عايز أسأل سؤال.
Yes. Yes, you can say your question now.